started this chapter, Prabhuji.
You're not started, Prabhu? Okay. Okay, 1 minute.
So even if verse 3, Prabhuji can, anyway, Prabhuji will give you overall view. No problem. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Now the screen is visible, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. First two texts are without purport, Prabhu.
Okay. That's why. So you will recite then the first two verses also?
Okay, we can do that.
Okay, we can recite, no problem.
Yes. Okay. 1 minute, I will open this. Four 12:3. 4:12. Hare Krishna, my humble obeisance to all assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So, I am not qualified, but as per the instruction, I am taking this class. So, seeking all your blessings so that whatever I speak will purify every one of us and inspire us to progress in Krishna consciousness. So, today we will be discussing from Canto 4, chapter number 12, entitled Dhruva Mahārāja Goes Back to Godhead. Verse number 1, 2, 3. Since verse number 1 and 2 does not have a purport, so we will discuss from verse number 3. Of course, we will recite verse number 1 and 2. Hare Krishna. So first we will sing Jai Radha Mata. Based on his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya 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 Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Gaur Premanande Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Sitanath Premanande Hari Bol Pranam Sankirtan ki Jai Hare Krishna
Jai.
Jai
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Mahārāja ki Jai Hare Krishna
Sivaguna Krishna Das Prabhu Ji ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, we recite today's verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tado Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopak Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namah Pankajanabhaya Namah Pankajamaline Namah Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangre Hare Krishna. So we will recite, actually today's verse was number 3, but we'll start reciting from verse number 1 and then we'll go to the verse number 3. Maitreya uvacha Dhruvam nivrittam pratibudhya vaisat apetamanyum bhagavan taneshwaraha tatra gatas charana yaksha kinnarai samstyumano Nyayat Kritanjalim. The great sage Maitreya said, "My dear Vidura, Dhruva Mahārāja's anger subsided and he completely ceased killing yakshas. When Kuvera, the most blessed master of the treasury, learned this news, he appeared before Dhruva while being worshipped by yakshas, kinnaras and charanas. He spoke to Dhruva Mahārāja, who stood before him with folded hands." So verse number 2. Dhananda uvacha Bobo Kshatriya Dayada Paritushto Asmite Anaga Yatvam Pita Mahadesha Vairyam Dustyajam Atyajaha. Translation: The master of the treasury, Kuvera, said, "O sinless son of Kshatriya, O sinless son of a Kshatriya, I am very glad to know that under the instruction of your grandfather, you have given up your enmity. Although it is very difficult to avoid, I am very pleased with you." So today's verse, Na bhavan avadit yakshan, na yaksha vritaram tava, kala eva hi bhutana, prabhu apyaya bhavayoho, na bhavan avadit yakshan, na yaksha vrataran tava, kala eva hi bhutana, prabhu apyaya bhavayaha, na bhavan avadit yakshan, na yaksha vrataram tava, kala eva hi bhutana, prabhu apyaya bhavayahu. Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji's Mataji would like to recite this verse, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
न भवान् अवदात् यक्षान् न भवान् अवदीत् यक्षान् न यक्षा भ्रातरं तव न यक्षा भ्रातरं तव काल एव हि भूतानां काल एव हि भूतानां प्रभुर् अप्यय भावयो प्रभु अप्यय भावयो. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Na bhavan avadhit dekshan na yaksha bhradaram tava kala eva hi bhutanam prabhurabhyaya bhavayoha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else, Mataji, would like to say? Okay, so we'll go to the synonyms. Na, not. Bhavan, you. Avadit, killed. Yakshan, the yakshas. Na, not. Yakshaha, the yakshas. Britaram, brother. Tava, your. Kalaha, time. Eva, certainly. He, for. Bhutanam, of living entities. Prabhu, the Supreme Lord. Apyaya, Bhavayu, of annihilation and generation. Translation. Actually, translation purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Actually, you have not killed the yakshas, nor have they killed your brother. For the ultimate cause of generation and annihilation is the eternal time feature of the Supreme Lord. Purport. Prabhu, you would like to read the purport?
Yes, Prabhu. I will read. When the master of the treasury addressed him as sinless, Dhruva Mahārāja, considering himself responsible for killing so many yakshas, might have thought himself otherwise. Kuvera, however, assured him that factually he had not killed any of the yakshas, therefore he was not at all sinful. He did his duty as a king as it is ordered by the law of nature. Nor should you think that your brother was killed by the yakshas, said Kuvera. He died or was killed in due course of time by the laws of nature. Eternal time, one of the features of the Lord, is ultimately responsible for annihilation and generation. You are not responsible for such actions. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Ananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shridvaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gauravakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Ugam Karoti Vachalam Pangun Langete Kripatam Mande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hrihi Om Tatsat Hare Krishna. So Canto 4, we have been discussing the 12th chapter. So already the first section we have completed. Daksha, we saw the episode between Lord Shiva and Daksha And we learned few valuable lessons, how, to respect a Vaishnava, and how we should not be short-tempered or get angry. When you get angry, what you lose in your life. All those things we learned from Daksha. So today the second section is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 5 chapters are dedicated to Dhruva Maharaj. Of course, every pastime has very, very important, valuable lessons to learn. That is the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam, to make us realize and to cultivate our divine qualities. That is the main purpose. So every pastime has a lesson to learn, and also to develop the divine qualities which will finally attract the attention of the Supreme Lord. So Dhruva Maharaj pastime, chapters 8 to 12. So we are in the last section of the Dhruva Maharaj pastime, where now Dhruva Maharaj is finally winding up his pastimes and going back to Godhead. So this is 12th chapter is entitled as Dhruva Maharaj goes back to Godhead. So we are seeing the last section in this episode. And then next following will be the Prithu Maharaj pastime. That will be from chapter 13 to 23. And then the Prachetas. That will be the last section of this 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 24 to 31. So we all been reading this for months together now, Dhruva Maharaj pastime. So you all know about Dhruva Maharaj pastime. This entire episode is being narrated by Maitreya Muni to Vidura. So here we are seeing, before going to this chapter 12, we are seeing what happened actually. We know that Dhruva Maharaj was so much determined to have the blessings of the Lord, to get a greater empire than his father. So then he made an intense tapasya, and then he got the darshan of the Lord. Then of course he is getting his benedictions. At the same time, he is feeling very much unhappy that he wants spiritual blessings, because he got matured by the time he was doing tapasya. Then when he saw the Lord, then he saw that whatever blessings I am getting, these material blessings, is of no use. Only the spiritual blessings are very, very valuable. So after that, he is coming back, and then his father is also very happy with him. Then he is giving his kingdom to rule. So this is chapter 10 and 11. Dhruva's fight happens after he's ruling the kingdom as he's a king. What happens after Dhruva Maharaj actually married 2 wives? His brother and stepmother both passed away. When Dhruva discovered that Uttama, that is his brother, had been killed by the Yakshas, naturally as a Kshatriya, Kshatriyas naturally they get very upset. He got very upset when he heard that his brother Uttama has been killed by Yakshas. Then immediately he wanted to respond to the situation. He angrily set out to attack them and gain revenge. So that is the nature of the Kshatriya Dharma. They normally take the counter-attack. If somebody will harm them, they will not be silent. But Brahmanas are basically, they forgive, they are very tolerant, but Kshatriya's nature is opposite. So a great battle ensued, and when Dhruva was on the brink of the victory, so almost Dhruva Maharaj, he killed many Yakshas and Rakshasas, so in the battle, and the Yakshas conjured up a dust storm with their mystic power. The Yakshas have their mystic potency. By that they conjured a dust storm. Assisted by the sages, Dhruva later recovered and annihilated them all. So Dhruva Maharaj was almost, we can say, successful by the blessings of the sages. So he defeated all of them. But seeing his excessive aggression, so he was so violent, like we can see sometimes in the battlefield, like Bhishma was very much powerful in the Kurukshetra war. Like that, seeing his excessive aggression, Dhruva's grandfather, Swayambhuva Manu, reminded him that the Lord becomes very satisfied when the devotee greets other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. So now his grandfather, Swayambhuva Manu, reminds him that this is not the Lord will be happy to see you in this bhava. No, the Lord always is very happy to see when you are meeting people with kind of the divine qualities. Chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita very clearly describes what are those divine qualities and how the Lord is attracted by all those divine qualities. In that, all these qualities are coming. Tolerance, titikshaha, karunika, all these are mentioned in 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. This is what the Lord likes. So he's saying, well, like this, you are attacking these Yakshas. Definitely the Lord will not be happy. And we know that Dhruva Maharaj is a great devotee of the Lord. Immediately he gets pacified because he understood that by this reaction or by this response, definitely I am not going to please the Lord. So immediately he becomes pacified and he changes his course of action. So Manu condemned Dhruva's violent approach. He clearly explained that the Yakshas did not kill Uttama, but rather it was the Lord's hand which is behind everything. They say even a blade of grass will not move without the sanction of the Lord. So whatever happens here in this world, whether good or bad in our eyes, it does not happen without the sanction of the Lord. Even though Kali Yuga now it's very terrible, it is also because of the loss of nature or loss of time that this Kali Yuga has to come. Even Parikshit Maharaj was cursed because even though he was a very ideal king, he also was cursed to become die in 7 days. So there is a lot of things which is happening. At the background, there is a Lord's sanction. So here, Swayambhu Manu is saying that actually Yakshas are only an instrument. As Krishna is saying to Arjuna, Nimitra Matra Bhavya Savya Sachin. You are only an instrument. You are not killing. You just become an instrument in the hands of, in my hands. Like that here, Swayambhu Manu is saying that that Yakshas did not kill your brother because you are angry with them. They did not kill, but rather it was the Lord's hand. It was the will of the Lord which is behind everything. So like that, he is pacifying Dhruva Mahārāja. Though Dhruva was temporarily afflicted by the material body consumption, so even though we are taking the spiritual path, many times, we are strongly affected by this bodily consumption of life for relatives or for our own family. It is natural that in the material world, the material influence will be more. In the spiritual world, the material influence will not be there. While we are in this material world, this material influence will be sometimes overpowering us. That's where we become spiritually weak also. Here also, Dhruva Mahārāja, even though he was a very ideal devotee, he was temporarily afflicted by material bodily consumption. Like Arjuna also was same way affected when he saw his relatives in the war field and he refused to fight the war. Sometimes it may become because of the will of the Lord, or sometimes it may be because of our own spiritual weakness. So here, same happened with Dhruva Mahārāja also. He is temporarily affected by the materially bodily consumption because his brother is killed. He naturally became very upset and very angry. Manu praised the young boy for his wonderful acts of austerity and encouraged him to take full shelter of the Lord. So Swayambhu Manu is also praising that how Dhruva Mahārāja at a very young age, where nobody has attempted like this to have the darshan of the Lord at such an young age, he went for a severe austerity for 6 months. And he praises that and encourages him to take the full shelter of the Lord. So this is the discussion of Dhruva's fight on the chapter 10 and 11. We can say as a preview, which we have read earlier before this episode happens, which is chapter number 12. So here, Dhruva Mahārāja attains perfection. The goal of life is to go back to home, back to Godhead. So that's why Srila Prabhupada started this magazine called Back to Godhead. Because he said back to Godhead is the real backbone of our society, or this is the main aim for every living entity. He has to go back to his original home, which is spiritual. So here, Dhruva Mahārāja is attaining that spiritual perfection, very glorious perfection or very successful life. At the end, he is going back to Godhead. That is explaining about this chapter 12 that ends this episode of Dhruva Mahārāja episode in this canto. So Dhruva's anger, what happened when Swayambhu Manu was highlighting all these things that it is by the will of the Lord. Don't think these Yakshas are the reason for your brother's death. Then when hearing all these instructions and about how the Lord will be pleased, and Dhruva's mindset became changed. So Dhruva's anger subsided, and Kuvera, the treasurer of demigods, also instructed him. Then Kuvera also comes. Kuvera is responsible for all these Yakshas and Rakshasas. So when Dhruva's anger subsided, immediately Kuvera also comes there, and also he instructs him. As a result, Dhruva ruled with great saintliness and satisfied all his citizens. So he got a very good spiritual counsel and advice. That's why it's very important to have spiritual people around so that we get the timely advice. Sometimes when we go out of the track, they will instruct us, advise us so that we can maintain our status properly in Krishna consciousness. So Dhruva Mahārāja ruled with great saintliness and satisfied all his citizens. Chapter 12, after ruling for how many years? 36,000 years, Dhruva Mahārāja. He enthroned his son, and then that's how the Raja Rishis were there. They retire after when they feel that they cannot anymore. They don't want to continue. Like Yudhishthira Mahārāja also left the throne. So all the kings, ideal kings, they take this after his householder life. They will take retirement to the forest. Like Kardama Muni also. He also left to the forest for attaining self-realization. So after ruling for 36,000 years, he enthroned his son and renounced everything and went to Badrikashrama. Normally, they all go to Badrikashrama and perform severe penances to attain the spiritual abode. In that sanctified atmosphere, with perfect mind and sense control, Dhruva became completely focused on the Lord. So, spiritual life, the ultimate goal is that we should perfect our mind or have perfect sense control. That Dhruva Maharaj is attained. His intense devotion triggered uncontrollable symptoms of ecstasy. So, when somebody is spiritually developing and the devotion is matured, then he gets so much bhava. Before the prema, the stage is bhava. Emotions get so much ecstasy. So Dhruva Maharaj experienced all these emotions of ecstasy when in his devotional stage. While thus absorbed, when he was observed in this meditation, two effulgent messengers of the Lord, they are called Vishnu Dutas. For Ajamil pastimes also we know the Vishnu Dutas came. Same Vishnu Dutas, named Nanda and Sunanda, they arrived to that place, Badrikashrama. They had come to take Dhruva back to Godhead. So they say at the time of death, either when we are sinful, the Yamadutas come, and if you are very spiritual, Krishna conscious, then the Vishnu Dutas come to take us back to home, back to Godhead. So it is very important that we try to avoid the Yamadutas by leading a Krishna conscious life. They had come to take Dhruva back to Godhead and invited him to board their transcendental carrier. So you can see the airplane where Dhruva Maharaj is invited by the two Vishnu Dutas to board the airplane so that the soul may be transferred to back to home, back to Godhead. So after offering respects to the sages and the airplane itself, he prepared to embark. Now Dhruva Maharaj is getting ready to step in by offering the obeisances. Just then, the death personified suddenly appeared, but Dhruva effortlessly stepped on his head and thus boarded the plane. As we said, for every time a soul will about to pass to this world, there are Vishnu Dutas, there are Yamadutas. So here also, because Dhruva Maharaj is about to leave, the Yamaraj came. But Dhruva Maharaj, because a devotee is not afraid of death personified, Dhruva Maharaj effortlessly stepped on his head. That means death is under his control now, because he is fully Krishna conscious. So Dhruva Maharaj effortlessly stepped on his head and thus boarded the plane. When he inquired about his mother, here shows the compassionate nature of the devotee. The devotee does not want to go alone. He also asked that, where is my mother? So when he inquired about his mother, same way like we see Prahlad Maharaj also is praying for his father to Lord Narasimhadev, that please liberate him, like that. So when he inquired about his mother, Suniti, not wanting to leave her behind, the Vishnu Dutas reassured him that she was departing another plane. So the Vishnu Dutas replied that, do not worry, your mother is also coming, but she is coming on another plane. So Dhruva Maharaj felt very, very happy. So whenever there is a devotee, pure devotee, he not only he goes back to Godhead, he takes many of his generations back to Godhead because of his Krishna consciousness. So that is one of the biggest blessing and benedictions of Krishna consciousness is by sincerely following this Krishna consciousness process, not only we go back to Godhead, even many generations previously and after, they all go back to Godhead. So they also get that benedictions because of this one pure devotee. So eventually Dhruva reached his own planet, Dhruva Loka. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, like where he's expressing his humility, that if my disciples become a pure devotee, then I will get a chance because of them to go back to Godhead. Of course, because of Srila Prabhupada only all are going back to Godhead. But Srila Prabhupada expresses his humility in such a way in the Srimad Bhagavatam purport. So that is his humility. Now, chapter 12, we will see the overview of Dhruva Maharaj going back to Godhead. So first 9 verses talks about Kuvera's instructions and benedictions. So Kuvera is giving instructions as well as benedictions, means some kind of boon to Dhruva Maharaj. So first verse is talking about how Kuvera appears and speaks to Dhruva. We already read that verse, recited that verse. There is no purport for that. Second verse also we recited the verse. There is no purport. Verse number 2 to 7 talks about a single concept called time. How the time influences, it causes creation as well as destruction. So bodily consumption causes repeated birth and death. As much as we are in the body consciousness, we are subjected to the repeated cycle of birth and death. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. And what causes this birth and death is under the influence of the factor called time. Please worship the Lord and ask for any benediction. So that's what Kuvera is advising Dhruva Maharaj. What was the Dhruva Maharaj prayer was? Dhruva Maharaj asked for unflinching faith. Because they say when your health is lost, something is lost. When your wealth is lost, something is lost. But when your faith is lost, everything is lost. Because the faith is the foundation of our Krishna consciousness. So Dhruva Maharaj very intelligently asked, unflinching faith and Smartavya Satatam Vishnu. Always remember the Lord. And Vishmartavya Jatuchit. Never forget Lord Vishnu. So he is asking unflinching faith and remembrance of the Supreme Lord. This is the most thing. Whatever the scriptures are explaining is only for one point is whether we are doing bhajan, kirtan, japa or any seva, it is to remember the Supreme Lord. That is the purpose of doing the seva itself. So the remembrance of the Supreme Lord is very important. So these two things he is asking, unflinching faith and remembrance of the Supreme Lord. Kuvera then, after giving that, Kuvera returns to his kingdom. Then what happens? Dhruva's glorious rule and renunciation. Dhruva Maharaj, after getting the instructions, he is having a wonderful ruling this whole kingdom. Dhruva Maharaj worships the Supreme Lord through sacrifices and bhakti yoga. Seeing the Lord in everything and everything in the Lord. Krishna says that my devotee sees everything in me and me in everything. Like that. So sees everything, Lord in everything and everything in the Lord. And qualities of Dhruva Maharaj is glorified in the verse number 12. Then 13 to 16 is rule and retirement of Dhruva Maharaj, which we discussed now. After ruling for 36,000 years, Dhruva Maharaj decides to retire and go for to Badrikashrama to do penance and to go back to spiritual world. The next section is 17 to 40, a big section where Dhruva Maharaj ascends to Dhruva Loka, which is called as pole star in English. So 17 to 18, practice of Ashtanga Yoga and development of ecstatic system due to constant bhakti. So Ashtanga Yoga is basically to focus, keep our body very fit. At the same time, is developing Bhakti Yoga. 19 to 22, Lord Vishnu's associates arrive in an airplane. Dhruva folds his hands and chants the holy name, absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna's lotus feet. So at the time of departing, he was fully conscious of the Lord. Yamam api smaran bhavam antakalecha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram. So he is able to remember the Lord's lotus feet at the time of his departure. Then Nanda and Sunanda, we already discussed, speak to Dhruva and invite him. Dhruva boards a plane, placing his foot on the head of death. Devatas shower flowers. And then Dhruva remembers his mother Suniti, but then sees her living in another plane. Dhruva's airplane passes through many planetary systems and arrives on Dhruva Loka. So when the airplane is passing, he is able to see the many planetary systems. We know that all these 14 planetary systems are there. Then we have this Brija river, then we have this Brahmajyoti, then we have spiritual abodes. So all those things he is able to visualize or see while the airplane is passing. And then finally, he goes to his own planet where the Lord is given the blessing that you can rule this planet for so many years. Because the original intention of Dhruva Maharaj doing tapasya is to get a greater kingdom than his father. So the Lord understood his desire and is giving this Dhruva Loka to rule for many, many years, even though not interested. But because it was his original desire, the Lord gives the Dhruva Loka, which is called as pole star. The Dhruva Maharaj is in the pole star. We can see that the Golaka chart. And there Dhruva Maharaj rules for many, many years. And then glories of Dhruva Loka is explained 36 to 40. In the last section of this 12th chapter is Narada Muni glorifies Dhruva at the Pracheta sacrifice. So Narada Muni is exalted Vaishnava. He glorifies Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj attained the unconquerable Lord at a very young age in a very short time. So this is the specific glory of Dhruva Maharaj is the Lord is very unconquerable. Sometimes many people do tapasya for many, many years, but Dhruva Maharaj attained the unconquerable Lord at a very, very young age. At the age of 6, he is doing tapasya and attaining the lotus feet of the Lord. And in a very short time, he did tapasya only for a period of 6 months, but it was a very, very, very intense tapasya. And this whole Palastuti of hearing this Dhruva Maharaj pastimes is given at 44 to 52, because every Leela has also a Palastuti. So that is being explained in this last section of this passage in this chapter. So that is what we this whole chapter is about. And we will go to today's purport. When the master of the treasury addressed him as sinless, Anaga means sinless. So Kuvera, master of treasury means Kuvera. Here we know that he had two sons, Nala Kuvera and Manigiri also. We see how they were spoiled because of their excessive wealth, and how they were cursed by Narada Muni to become trees in Vrindavan, and how Lord Krishna liberated them by his touch. So all the things we know, Kuvera's son, we always sing in Damodara Ashtami. He is addressing Dhruva Maharaj as sinless. Because Dhruva Maharaj is thinking that I have killed so many people that I become sinful. Same way like Yudhishthira Maharaj was after the battlefield, he was so much lamenting that because of me, so many people are killed in this war. Like that, saintly people always think like that. So Dhruva Maharaj, considering himself responsible for killing so many yakshas, might have thought himself otherwise. But Kuvera is assuring that no, you are not sinful, you are sinless. And Kuvera, however, assured him that actually he had not killed any of the yakshas. Therefore, he was not at all sinful. Because it is due to the time all these things are happening. Whether we want or we don't want, things happen as per the will of the time. So there is a very, very important thing. He did his duty as a king, as a Kshatriya. He did what he has to do, as it is ordered by the laws of nature. Because a Kshatriya duty is to protect the dharma and also to retaliate in case of any attack. Nor should you think that your brother was killed by yakshas. He is also pacifying that don't think that your brother was killed by yakshas. He said, Kuvera, he died or was killed is in due course of time by the laws of nature. This is predestined that by the laws of nature, this person has to go at this time. So do not lament. So Krishna also says like in the second, Dehi nosmi nita dehi kaumara vidvanam jara tata dehantra prapti dhirastatra muhyati. Na muhyati. So we should not get bewildered because everything happens by the course of time as we are destined. When we have to leave the body, everything is in the hands of destiny or time. Eternal time is one of the feature of the Lord. Follows me. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that I am time, I am the destroyer of everything. Eternal time, one of the feature of the Lord. 11th chapter, Krishna is saying, he is ultimately responsible for all the destruction as well as for Srishti also, for generation. Because when the other yuga comes, the Srishti comes. When the yuga completes, there is pralaya. And you are not responsible for such action. So he is basically pacifying Dhruva Maharaj that you are not responsible for all these things. Do not repent. Now you surrender to the Lord and then you rule your kingdom very nicely. Like that, he is giving advice. So here we are learning, so as I said, every pastime has a lesson to learn. So what is the lesson we are going to learn from Dhruva Maharaj pastime? Learning from Dhruva Maharaj. So Srila Prabhupada writes this purport in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 22.42, very beautiful purport. This connected with Dhruva Maharaj pastimes. Determination. How Dhruva Maharaj was determined in his Krishna consciousness. So determination is very, very, very important. Two things are important. They say discrimination and then determination. So what is discrimination? Discrimination means to know what is right and what is wrong. That is discrimination. I know this is right, this is wrong. After getting that discrimination, when I know this is right, then I should have that willpower to follow what is right. That is determination. Whatever comes in my life, I should not deviate from that path. That is determination. So determination, Srila Prabhupada writes here. It is our duty to remember always that in comparison to Dhruva Maharaj, we are insignificant. Because Dhruva Maharaj is a very, very glorious personality. That's why his name is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So whoever is very glorious, their name is mentioned in the scriptures. So when somebody's name is mentioned in the scripture, glorified in the scriptures, then we should know that they are not normal, they are Mahājana. So Dhruva Maharaj is coming there. We cannot do anything like Dhruva Maharaj. We cannot do anything like what Dhruva Maharaj did for self-realization. Because in 6 months, without taking water, without breathing, he realized the Lord. He got darshan of the Lord. So we cannot definitely do like what Dhruva Maharaj did for self-realization because we are absolutely incompetent to execute such services. So even for one day fasting, like Ekadasi, we feel very difficult. So what to speak of months together fasting? Very difficult. But here, Srila Prabhupada is giving hope. But by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, we have been given all concession possible for this age. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is there. When effort, and by our effort we cannot do, but mercy aspect is there. So at least we should always remember that neglect of our prescribed duties in devotional service will not make us successful in the mission. If we neglect our prescribed duties in devotional service, it will not make us successful in the mission we have undertaken. So it is our duty to follow in the footsteps of Dhruva Maharaj. Mahājana yena gata sapartaha. That means we cannot imitate them, but we have to follow in their footsteps. So it is our duty to follow in the footsteps of Dhruva Maharaj, for he was very determined. We should also be determined to finish our duties of executing devotional service in this life. So in this life itself, we should be determined that we should go back to home, back to Godhead. We should also be determined to finish our duties in executing devotional service in this life. We should not wait for another life to finish our job. So taken from Srimad Bhagavatam 4.8.72, which we are read already. We should not wait for another life. That is very risky. Dhruva's determination stands out as a shining quality behind his life's success. When he left home for the forest in search of God, some people he met on the way tried to persuade him to turn back. And many people were giving him advices that you are very young. You have to play with toys, not search God now. Even when we take the spiritual life, many people advise that why you are taking this life now. After retirement, when you are becoming old, that time only you should take Bhagavad Gita, not now. So many people constantly advise when you go with your relatives, sometimes parents, when we take up seriously determined, there is always this kind of distraction, diversion. He could have given up, but he didn't. As he began his search, he was unsure of what he was looking for, who he had met, and what would happen. So when he began his search, he was unsure of what he was looking for. He could have given up because many people advised him, but he did not. After meeting Narada Muni, he was told to engage in rigorous spiritual discipline, all alone in jungle of ferocious animals. So in the jungle, we know it is very, very dangerous. It's not an easy place to do tapasya. He could have given up at a young age. He didn't. The lesson from Dhruva Maharaj life is loud and clear. The quality of our determination determines our quality of our life. Very important point. The quality of our determination determines the quality of our life. Like our Guru Maharaj also says, the very famous, never give up. There's a very famous statement of our Jayapatra Swami Guru Maharaj. He says, never give up. And we can see practically in his life, he is following that. He is never giving up in spite of so many physical challenges he is facing. Any other person might have not been in Krishna consciousness. He has faced so much. So he is like Dhruva Maharaj, never give up. So the determination determines our quality of our life. It's very good thing and very important to have this determination. It's a very, very divine quality. Though his initial motivation was material, when he was going to the Lord for darshan, he did not have a spiritual aspiration. He was material because his motivation was to get a higher kingdom than his father. He was guided to look for it in the right place. Akamaka sarva kamava moksha kam udarite tivirena bhakti yogena ijayata purusha param. Bhagavatam says that whether you are full of material desires or you don't have material desires, or you are looking for liberation, akama sarva kamava moksha kama udarite tivirena bhakti yogena, take up bhakti yoga ijayata purusha param, the Supreme Lord. So even though the aspiration was material, but he went to the right place, that is to the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And then embraced all the risk and discomfort that the discipline demanded. The discipline demanded so much risk and discomfort. So he was able to take that discomfort, bodily discomfort. When he finally achieved the audience of Vishnu, he expressed a spontaneous prayer, which devotees repeat to this day. So when he had the darshan of the Lord, the spontaneous prayers was offered by Dhruva Maharaj, which the devotees repeat to this day. Oh my Lord, very, very famous prayer of Dhruva Maharaj. Because I was seeking an upward material position, I was performing severe types of penance and austerity. Now I have gotten you, who are very difficult for the great demigods, saintly persons and things to attain. I was searching after a piece of glass, but instead I have found the most valuable jewel. Therefore, I am so satisfied that I do not wish to ask any benediction from you. So this is the mood of a devotee. A devotee, even though sometimes when we ask out of ignorance of material benediction, but when we understand that what is real value in our life, we'll always ask for the blessings and mercy of the Lord. As Dhruva Maharaj took that, always I should remember the Lord and I should have unflinching faith and serving in an unconditional way. So it's very, very important. Dhruva Maharaj prayer, oh my Lord, because I was seeking an upward material position, I was performing severe types of penance and austerity. Now I have gotten you, who are very difficult for the great demigods, saintly person and kings to attain. I was searching after a piece of glass, but instead I have found the most valuable jewel. Therefore, I am so satisfied that I do not wish to ask any benediction, Prabhu. Taken from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 22.42. So that's the glory of determination. We also know the egg, the story which Prabhupada relates for determination in the Bhagavad Gita, the sparrow which the ocean taken her eggs, and how the sparrow was determined to take the eggs by emptying the ocean. Seeing that Garuda helped, and then the eggs were given back to the bird. So this is the determination will help in this way, following in the footsteps of Dhruva Maharaj. If you are strongly determined, in spite of any challenges we face on the path of Krishna consciousness, definitely Krishna will bless with all his mercy, costless mercy. So that is the lesson we are learning from today's Dhruva Maharaj pastime. Of course, we will be reading other verses also in coming days. So thank you all for patiently listening to this. Whatever little I could understand, and I could repeat whatever Srila Prabhupada said. We have to just take the quality. If I have done any mistakes, please forgive me. So thank you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna. Any question?
Krishna Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for your time and effort to enlighten us with nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, before that, I would request the devotees, anybody want to ask any doubt for today's topic? We will answer them. The episode of Kubera approaching Dhruva Maharaj and make him to realize that all these killings are not only killings, all activities are done by the time.
Yes.
Everything is done by Lord.
Roji,
Yes.
it is meant that he has done it, but actually it is by the Kala, time.
Kala, influence of time. It is destined, it is destined to happen.
It should have been happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So that means whatever is naturally happening, let it happen.
Yes.
Happen, yeah.
We cannot go against that. But
Beyond
of course, somebody will be an instrument to that. But they will not, when they are acting as an instrument, they will not get any karmic reaction. Like Arjuna killed so many Kshatriyas on the instruction of the Lord, he will not get any karmic reaction. But when we are doing it out of our own desire, then we get the karmic reaction.
Yes. Very good. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandat Pranam.
Dandat Pranam. So, Prabhu, Sudarshan Vasudeva, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
If there are no questions, we can wind up, Prabhu, today's session.
One second. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
No, just Prabhu explained that. What is that? You explained that what is the lessons, the two lessons that we understand. Means we say that sometimes we say that in Malayalam we say that buddhi, buddhim vivegam center, buddhi and vivegam. So
discrimination and determination.
Yeah, discrimination. But it's the important thing. We are intelligent, but we the determination power. What is the discriminative power is not there. That is no failure. It is utter failure.
Yes,
so,
very true.
Yeah.
We should apply our knowledge.
Yeah. Also, we need the decision. So how we get that is depending on our faith. So we need the faith in Supreme Lord. That is the Dhruva Maharaj showing that. Right, Prabhu?
Yes.
So in the short, engage in devotion service. That's all.
Yeah. Also says that Kala. So sometimes we say that it is because of this Kala. No. So we don't depending on the Kala. We have to depend on the Supreme Lord. So we have to chant. If we are in any time we have in trouble, we say it because of this Kala. No, because that time also we have to depend with the Nama, the Harinama, right?
Yes.
So we have to
All the time we have to depend on the mercy of the
Lord.
Supreme Lord.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
If no
Sadhana
other
Shyam
questions,
for his-
yes, we will wind up. So it is our time to express our sincere gratitude to His Grace Sivaguna Prabhu. So we'll express that by chanting Hare Krishna mantra 3 times. May Prabhu be blessed. Take
Hare
give more and
Krishna,
more
Hare
benefits
Krishna,
to
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Ram.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama.
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
We'll offer Vaishnava Pranama and depart. Pancha Kalpatarubhya.
Vachakalpataribhya
Kripasindhapevcha, Kripana Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha.
Ananta Kodi Vaishnav ki jai,
Jai,
Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Ananta
Jai.
Kodi Vaishnav ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Ki Jai. Glories to somebody.
Hare Krishna. So today evening we'll have a special class, Prabhu, a very, very important session, online session.
Correct.
This is related to Prabhu, Sudarshan Prabhu, you can tell that.
No problem, nothing. So the link something will be shared for that.
Yeah, link will be shared, Prabhu. Please all attend. It will be related to Bhaktivedanta Library, where the original manuscripts of Gaudiya Vaishnavas are
Yes,
being
so that is
preserved.
why we have cancelled our regular Bhagavatam.
Regular
and,
Bhagavatam class is cancelled.
also
because of
ongoing
that.
Ramayana also cancelled.